Now available. Paperback and Kindle Unlimited. ISIS, the main event. It's carnage inside of a steel cage when the goddess next door steps in the squared circle with a beast from the boss in this action-packed all-new ISIS series adventure. Get ISIS, the main event, paperback and Kindle Unlimited today. Yesterday, actress Ruby Rose announced that she was going to be leaving the CW's Batwoman. Ruby Rose, when she was announced to play Batwoman, was considered a major milestone because this was the first time an LGBTQ actress would be playing an LGBTQ character. Unfortunately, this show has not had a positive reception from comic fans and casual viewers, and this could be one of the reasons why Ruby Rose is deciding to exit the show, because when she takes a critical examination of her career as related to it, she doesn't see a future as related to her long-term career. Now, the CW's Batwoman has had problems since the initial episode because of the way this show was adapted. And it's clear to me that your Greg Berlanti did not look at the Birds of Prey show from 2005 when he was adapting this show, or the reaction that the Birds of Prey received in 2005 that led to its cancellation after one season. Now, in the opening scenes of Birds of Prey, it was announced that Batman left Gotham City. And when it was announced that Batman left Gotham City, this turned off most of the Batman fans, because most of the Batman fans who know the character, his history, and his lore know that Batman would not leave Gotham City because Bruce Wayne took an oath to protect Gotham City after the death of his parents. And most people who have watched other Batman adaptations like Batman Beyond know that even though Bruce could not still put on a Batman costume, he would still make an effort to protect Gotham City and stay in Gotham City, because in the Slappers episode where Terry McGinnis takes on a man selling venom, Bruce tells Terry that even though he did not put on the costume anymore, he still looked out for threats like Bane, which reinforces the point that Bruce still valued his oath to his parents and still valued his oath to protect Gotham City. So that was definitely in character for Bruce, but your CW's Batwoman wants to tell us the same lie that Birds of Prey did, in an effort to make a heroine appear to be powerful, and this only showed how weak this heroine is. Now, in the CW's adaptation from Greg Berlanti, they wanted to say that Bruce Wayne just leaves Gotham City for absolutely no reason, and this revelation is the thing that alienated many Batman fans the same way Batman fans were alienated when Birds of Prey came out in 2005. And the show wants to say that because Batman has left Gotham City, they have to bring in this security expert and his daughter, Kate Kane, and that just does not really jibe with what most comic fans wanted to see in a Batwoman show. Now, if I were doing a Batwoman show, I would have followed the story as related to the comics. I would have brought in Batman, and that would have really gotten fans excited about the show. Because if they were to have seen Batman and the Batcave and see Batman dealing with cases and him being overwhelmed with cases at the time, he's working on 2 or 3 different cases, what would have happened would have been the show would have been seen in a positive light, and the reason for Kate Kane becoming Batwoman would have been something comic fans would have cared about, and in screenwriting, answering the question, why should we care, is extremely important, because if you can get the viewer to care, they're going to continue watching the show. So what they needed to do was make us care about Kate Kane by showing that she's passionate about this case, and then her going out here and having this motivation to put the Batwoman costume on because she wants to go out here and stop this case that Batman just doesn't have the time for. And you could have used that to build up to something like a spin-off like a Birds of Prey, but instead of doing that, your Greg Berlanti decided, because this was the first alphabet superheroine played by the first alphabet actress, he was going to go out here and use this as a platform to promote identity politics. And when he decided to promote identity politics instead of focusing on story, what he did was alienate all of those Batman fans who wanted an adaptation of the comic book. And because comic fans weren't getting an adaptation of the comic, they had no reason to go out here and watch the Batwoman show, which has practically dropped in the ratings from 2 million at the premiere down to barely 500,000 views for an episode. And that's really embarrassing when you think about it, because the Batwoman show gets less views than most popular YouTubers out here. People like Jenna Marbles and PewDiePie get more views on an announced video than the CW does with Batwoman. And Jenna Marbles and PewDiePie barely spend any money to make their videos, yet they get more views than your CW does on a Batwoman episode that cost anywhere from probably $1 to $3 million an episode. And again, that is an embarrassment when you think about the amount of money spent on costumes, the amount of money spent on filming, the amount of money spent on this show. For it to perform at that level of a YouTube video, that really shows us how this show has resonated with the audience. The audience has practically been completely turned off, and the reason why the audience is turned off is because of the poor execution by Greg Berlanti, who wanted to make this, again, a show that focused on identity politics and wanted to promote Batwoman as an identity politics character. And it was all about promoting an agenda instead of storytelling, and that turned people off. And what also turned people off was the whole thing as related to Luke Fox and the complete mangling of his character, because Luke Fox in the comics, he was a strong, masculine, heterosexual black man with a lot of confidence and presence, and he eventually becomes the second Batwing. But in this series, he has been reduced to another butler like John Diggle, and he has been emasculated to the point where he's such a beta male, and that's all done so that Ruby Rose's character could appear to be this superior female, this strong heroine, and it's that whole attempt to make a strong heroine without having any strength of character that turned off a lot of viewers, along with the emasculation of Luke Fox. Because what they wanted to do with Batwoman was talk about how this woman was so strong that she was going to be better than Batman. And again, that rubbed viewers the wrong way, because the hubris of saying that this woman was going to be better than Batman and that his costume would be made better when it was made for a woman, this angered a lot of viewers, because you don't need to go out here and make the woman appear to be so-called better than a man. As a writer of heroines myself, a guy who writes books like those in the ISIS series and books in the E-Steam series, I can write strong heroines and not make them appear weaker than the men. I can make the woman appear to be an equal to a man, the same way I did in E-Steam, The Sands of Time, showing how women and men have strengths and weaknesses, and show how they both can work well together. But the creators of Batwoman, they don't know how to write heroines, and they wanted to make this strong woman appear to be superior to a man, not understanding that the core audience of comic books, sci-fi, fantasy, and manga is primarily men, and those men were offended when they saw this Batwoman taking Batman's costume, taking Batman's legacy, and then trashing it in an effort to elevate herself. And again, a good heroine does not need to trash the male character in order to make herself appear to be superior. That's what something an insecure heroine does, and that's something an insecure creator does, because they know that if their character could stand on their own merits, they would be able to just go out here and be the hero that they are without trying to trash other heroes out here. And that's the big turnoff about this Batwoman show. It was all about promoting this feminism. It was all about promoting this identity politics. And it was all about saying that a woman is superior to a man, the same way Captain Marvel tried to say a woman was superior to a man. And this is a big problem with this Batwoman show, is that it just does not respect the audience, and it does not treat the audience the way a creator is supposed to treat an audience. I mean, when you have an audience out here for your story, you want to respect your audience, but this show, all it wants to do is preach identity politics to you and tell you that women are so much better than men, and that's not what people come to superhero shows for. When you have a superhero show, it's supposed to be about good guys taking on bad guys, and it's supposed to be about the hero and the hero's journey. We didn't get that with Batwoman, and this is why it's one of the worst shows and why its ratings continued to drop like a rock over the course of the last year. Now, some people speculated that this has to do with Ruby Rose having an injury as related to a stunt, but I don't believe that has anything to do with it, because from the article I read on Deadline, it says that this stunt, it really had nothing to do with her leaving the role. Now, when I look at this decision for Ruby Rose leaving the role, it has to do, I believe, with the storylines and the storytelling, and I see this not going the way Superboy went when John Haymes Newton decided to leave the role of Superboy, and Gerard Christopher came in and took over the role, and the series continued to progress over the next 3 seasons. Now, Superboy was in a much better place than Batwoman. Superboy back in '89 was in a very good place. The writing was there for Superboy, the material was there for Superboy, and the characterizations were on point for Superboy. So even though John Haymes Newton left the role of Superboy in Season 1, in Season 2, Gerard Christopher could easily fit into those boots, because the creators, when they were creating the show's initial pitch, the initial concept, and the series Bible, they had the foundation for creating quality episodes of Superboy. Because they had that foundation for creating quality episodes of Superboy, they could transition from one actor to another because the story platform was there. Now with Batwoman, if they recast the role, they're still going to have the same bad storytelling, the same woke identity politics story narrative, and they're going to have the same story problems that they have right now. So it's not about the actress, it is about the content, it is about the presentation of that concept, and it's about the execution of that concept. Greg Berlanti has fumbled the football as related to Batwoman, and he prevented them from having a hit because he was so caught up in the idea of promoting identity politics that he wound up breaking the show. Going back to the phrase, get woke, go broke, and it looks like the CW may go broke on this show, because when you have a TV show, it's supposed to get anywhere from 3 to 5 million viewers, yet this show could only get 500,000 viewers, which is the level, again, of the top YouTubers. And when you have a show performing like a top YouTube channel, that's again, an extreme embarrassment when you think about it, because when studios make these shows, they make these shows so that they can go out here and rake in ad revenue from 3 to 5 million viewers, sell 3 to 5 million viewers a product, and again, 3 to 5 million viewers walked away from this show, and while it talked about presenting the first alphabet superhero, it doesn't look like the audience wasn't interested in seeing it because the show's poor execution of concept, poor execution of story, and it's just the show alienated all of those comic fans out there who wanted a comic book series, not a series that was going to go out here and show us how woke the producers were and how woke they were in terms of story, talking about all of this so-called diversity. Meanwhile, with the Luke Fox character, we continue to see that there's the same old racism going on behind the scenes, and this is the thing that led to this show winding up in the bad place that it's in. Now, as I see it, they should have just canceled Batwoman from season 1, but we're going to get a season 2, and I have a true, real belief that we're going to get a worse season 2 than we did get from a season 1. Now, if you want to pick up some of my books featuring strong heroines like the ISIS series, the Esteem series, and stories that show men and women working together like Esteem, The Sands of Time, you can pick up all of these books on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle formats. In these stories, you get to see a balanced presentation of a heroine. You get to see heroines who have strength of character, and you get to see really great storytelling and see what happens when you present a heroine who has flaws and really has to deal with real problems. And they're really great stories. And if you want to see me make more videos like this, you can donate to my Patreon, my PayPal, and my Cash App by clicking the links in the description box. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe. Now available in paperback and e-readers, ISIS, Samurai Goddess. The goddess next door takes on kung fu killers in this action-packed martial arts ISIS series adventure. Get ISIS, Samurai Goddess in paperback and e-readers today.